and I will be your service leader this morning. The UU Fellowship of the Emerald Coast is a religious community united by the UU principles and committed to service, spiritual growth, and caring fellowship. If you're a first-time visitor today, you will find more information about us on the back of your order of service. You can also find more information on our website and Facebook page. Please fill out a visitor card at the blue table by the front door so we can connect with you and send you information about upcoming events. We do not require a common creed for membership, but we do share certain principles and values. We feel each of us is on a spiritual journey, and we share with each other our quest for a more meaningful life. We welcome you to share that journey. I'd like to turn your attention to the announcements in your order of service. You can find them this page here. If you love snack time after service, please consider joining the kitchen crew. We need a team to rotate on Sundays, just like we have a team of greeters. And so you can contact Judy Byrne Riley or Janet Chapman if you're interested in helping with that. Let's see. We have a couple more announcements there. We're still doing the UU FEC search committee. I'll just let you guys read your announcements there. Alrighty. After today's service, we will be having our second Sunday potluck. Please join us for food and conversation. Everyone is welcome. And now the prelude prepares us for the service. going to be lit by Shua, the chicken man, this morning. Thank you, Shua. Sound effects and everything. This is a treat. Right. We light this chalice, spark of the original fire of creation, to remind us that we all on this planet, the furred, the feathered, the finned, and the scaled, along with us featherless bipeds, we are all made of the same star stuff and all share a common destiny. We all share the same hopes of a life free from harm and suffering, and the same aspirations of happiness, love, and flourishing, being able to express our own unique natures and capacities as best we may. We are just that many diverse perspectives from which the whole is seen and experienced. We are inextricably intertwined, interconnected, and interdependent, and it is good. Blessed be. Okay. Please stand as you are able, in body or in spirit, to join us in singing hymn number 175 in the gray hymnal, We Celebrate the Web of Life. We will sing the first 2 verses. The words will also be on the screen, accompanied by a very special video from the First Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Ann Arbor, Michigan.
We celebrate the web of life, its magnitude we sing, for we can see divinity in every living thing, a fragment of the perfect whole in cactus and in quail, as much in tiny barnacle as in the great blue whale. But chickens are the most divine, a bird beyond compare. Much better than those other ones that fly up in the air. Buck, buck, caw. Buck, 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 caw. Buck, 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 caw. Buck, cock-a-doodle-doo.
It's now our time for all ages. The children are invited to come forward.
Hey there, I am Sarah Searfoss, for those of you who don't know, the Director of Religious Exploration. And today, as you might have guessed, we have a story about chickens. No way. It's called Sonia's Chickens by Phoebe Wall. One day, Sonia's papa came home with 3 fluffy chicks. He gave the chicks to Sonia. It can be your job to take care of them, he told her. The chicks live in a cardboard box in the house while Sonia and her parents spruced up the old coop in the yard. Sonia took good care of the chicks. She liked to keep them tucked in her sweater for warmth. I'll be your mama, she told them. Sonia took her job of tending to the chickens very seriously, and they grew quickly into gawky pullets. As her mama and papa went about the duties of the farm, Sonia was proud to do her part. Everywhere Sonia went, her little birds were at her heels, peeping loudly. Every morning, Sonia would rise to the crow of the old rooster and let the chickens out of their coop to forage and play. Sonia made sure her chickens had enough water. She cleaned their coop and gave them fresh straw. She fed them by scattering cracked corn on the ground and even let them peck it from her hands. Sometimes the chickens found worms for their dessert. In Sonia's care, they were soon healthy, full-grown hens. One morning, Sonia found a smooth brown egg nestled in one hen's straw bed. She put the soft egg against her cheek and said, "Thank you." Sonia was a good mama to her chickens. Every night, Sonia made sure chickens were tucked safely in their coop. As they cooed and clucked themselves to sleep, Sonia would latch the coop door and carefully shut the gate behind her before heading to her own warm home. One chilly night, Sonia woke to a ruckus of squawking and shuffly bump noises from outside. Her heart beating quickly, she Rutherford was nowhere to be seen. Sonia burst into tears. Before she knew it, strong arms scooped her up and she cried into her papa's beard. Sonia's papa carried her into the house and held her close. When Sonia had exhausted herself with crying, she asked, "Who took her? A fox? Did it kill her? It's not fair." "Shh," said Sonia's papa. "What might seem unfair to you might make sense to a fox." And he told her a story. "The fox who took your chicken lives in the woods beyond the field," Sonia's papa said. "He works hard every day to find food to bring home to his babies. Most of the time, he can find mice and moles, but sometimes the fox's baby is called a kit, like a baby chicken is a chick, and you are a child," said Sonia's papa. "I do everything I can to make sure you are happy and have a full belly and a warm place to sleep. You did everything you could to make sure your chicks were happy and had full bellies and a warm place to sleep. Because you love your chicks like I love you. The fox is no different. He loves his kits too. So even though it's sad for us, we can understand why he did it." The next morning, Sonia laid a few special stones to mark a grave for her chicken in the corner of the yard. Together, she and her family remembered their hen who had been soft, who had loved worms, and who had laid the first smooth brown egg. "A bird who is loved," Sonia's mom said, giving her a kiss. Sonia's heart was heavy, but as she mourned her chicken, she thought too of the happy baby foxes living deep in the woods. Sonia and her family repaired and reinforced the broken edging of the coop where the fox had gotten in, and while she was still a little sad, Sonia remained vigilant in caring for her other two hens. She made sure they had enough water. She cleaned their coop and gave them fresh straw and scattered cracked corn for them to eat. Best of all was the day one of the smooth brown eggs began to crack. To her delight, Sonia had a brand new chick. "I will be your mama," she said. "I will do everything I can to make sure you are happy and have a full belly and a warm place to sleep." And she did. That actually reminds me of a story of the time I almost got to take care of a sick chicken. Unfortunately, the cat got him. So kind of like the fox. Sad times. But anyway, as the school year is coming to a start, we have a special ceremony called the Blessing of the Backpacks. And if you are a student of any type of school age, college age, I invite you to come to the front if you're starting a new semester. And if you don't have a backpack, we will bless the backpacks in spirit. So how many of y'all liked going to school on the first day of school, getting ready for school? It's like a little bit of a mixed reaction. So back to school time was one of my favorite parts of school. So like my parents would let me have a couple of outfits that I was excited to wear. And sometimes I would change my hair up for the first day. The rush of going to Walmart for like the laundry list of school supplies was exciting to me. But I imagine when you're a parent, probably a little less exciting to deal with that supply list. So today we have students gathered here, and these supplies and backpacks will be carried back and forth from school and home. These backpacks will contain work to be done, work to be returned, books to be studied, and tools to complete homework. Notebooks, pencils, pens, crayons, scissors, glue sticks, and other items used for school work will find their way in and out of these backpacks. Some days, so much stuff will fill these backpacks that the student may find it difficult to walk. Other days, they will be light and nearly empty. But on each and every day, these backpacks represent work required of the students gathered here. As parents, mentors, and teachers, we honor our commitment to raising up future generations in their journey through childhood to become well-rounded adults. As students, we seek the knowledge, skills, and networking that aid in achieving what we would like to do and put into the world. So, did you know the chicken is the closest living relative of the T-Rex? If you've ever been chased by a rooster, you probably know they know that too. Never stop achieving your goals and dreams. We honor each student that starts a new school year or college semester and the commitment they have made to their development. We honor the parents and mentors of these students and the guidance that they have and love they have for them. We honor the educators who deal with a whole lot more than what they get paid for. And we honor the resource officers that provide safety for our students from harm. Most importantly, we hope and act for legislation that protects our students, values their health, enriches their education, and cultivates critical thinking and creativity. Our students are our future.
Thank you. Kids get to stay with us today, but you're welcome to go back and sit with your families if you want to. Well, it's now time for our sharing of joys and concerns. You are invited to briefly share personal events in your life by dropping a pebble into the bowl of water, or either silently or while speaking a few words into the microphone, so we may support each other in our sorrows and celebrate together in joy. Please do not share information about others without their permission. we leave a space in our service for a time of meditation and prayer. I welcome you to let go of your daily worries and just breathe together as one. For dragonflies, butterflies, caterpillars on leaves, lizards, wild turkeys, and tigers and deer, we give thanks. For sunset and seashells, and starfish and sand, octopus, jellyfish, and hammerhead shark, we give thanks. For horses and kitties, small bunny and dogs, for babies and chickens, and knowing we're loved, we give thanks. After our song of dedication, greeters will take up the offering. Generosity is a spiritual practice. Our fellowship is supported by our pledges and donations. If you are paying your pledge with a check today, please make a note in the memo line. We share all cash donations and unmarked checks equally each week with a local charity. For the month of August, our Share the Plate partner is the Okaloosa County branch of the NAACP. That's the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. The Okaloosa branch is 75 years old and is guided by the national NAACP's goals of eliminating racial disparities in all aspects of life, including social change, economic and environmental justice, and police reform. UUFEC is participating in the UU the Vote, which encourages congregations to partner during the election year. The Okaloosa NAACP is also dedicating the next 100 days to our Get Out the Vote campaign. Its many other activities include opposing book banning in schools, advocating for justice in the recent shooting of senior airman Roger Fortson, and having an active youth and advocacy wing.
From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and by this we live. Sorry, guys.
Right. Our speaker today is Julian Winn. Julian is a freshman at the Collegiate High School at Northwest Florida State College. He has been a dedicated chicken owner since April of 2022. Today he will be sharing a unique perspective about the lessons he has learned as a caretaker of chickens.
Good morning, everyone. So I would like to thank my grandma for being here. Big pleasure. My other grandparents, I think I'm going to watch the recording, so just want to thank them as well. All right. My name is Julian, and I own chickens. Just from owning these chickens, I've actually learned a lot about life and the lessons that come with life. I'll tell you about having to learn new responsibilities when getting and owning chickens, dealing with loss whenever a chicken dies, and figuring out how to befriend these feathery birds. The first thing I would like to talk about is having to learn new responsibilities. When we first got the little baby chicks, I did not realize how much work it would truly be when taking care of them. This next part might be a little gross. When chickens are still little chicks, they aren't able to clean themselves effectively. This will lead to poop getting stuck in their feathers and blocking their butt. We did not know this at the time when one of the chicks had this case. My mom searched up what it meant, and turns out the chicks can actually die from this. We had to clean the little chick with the issue, and ever since, every time we got chicks, I would make sure to check regularly to make sure they didn't have this problem. Now, when the chickens grew out of the big bucket they were living in, they moved on to the big yard. I had to make sure they had fresh water and enough food each day before I went to school. The coop is supposed to be cleaned out about every 2 weeks, but I still struggle to remember to clean out the coop in that time frame. Taking care of the chickens taught me how to manage my time well. I had to juggle school homework time with my taking care of chickens, which can be challenging to do. Now I remember a day that I probably won't forget. My dog Kubo has never killed a chicken before. However, he has dramatized a chicken, and that chicken's name is Flappy. She is a yellow hen, and did not like to be held. I remember going outside to check up on the chickens when Kubo was attempting to play with Flappy. He was not attempting to bite her, but was instead kicking her around. I instantly got Kubo to stop and checked Flappy to see any damage. Luckily, she only had feathers pulled out and there were no bite wounds. But she was basically broken for over 3 months. However, she only needed help eating and drinking for about 3 days. I had to have her in my lap and feed her water through a syringe where it would slowly shoot out the water. She even slept on my lap while she was in this state. This was quite a big responsibility when this problem happened, but with care and patience, Flappy's all good now. When you get into the later stages of owning chickens, they'll start to destroy a lot of plants if they're enclosed. Chickens will also dig holes with their talons to look for bugs under the dirt. All these factors cause a lot of dirt to wash away when it rains. To fix this, my parents bought a lot of dirt. With this dirt, we were going to put it around the foundation of the house where the chicken yard was. We had to put the dirt into a wheelbarrow and move it over to the chicken yard to shovel the dirt to the foundation. It was a lot of work, but owning chickens isn't an easy task. There is truly a ton of work involved to own chickens. But if you keep going through all of that tough and tiring work, you'll find happy little chickens at the end of that road. The second thing I would like to talk about is dealing with loss. When owning chickens, there are multiple ways a chicken could die. They could get lost in the forest next to your house, get taken by a hawk, fox, or coyote, or even if you own dogs, be killed by your own dog. Now, when we first got our chickens, they were not yet fully grown. After a week of getting them, my now deceased dog, Athena, had killed 3 of the baby chicks. However, I was able to forgive her because after my mom yelled at Athena for killing the chicks, she never killed the chickens again. However, my other dog, Freya, was not as innocent. When the chickens were all grown up and living outside, they shared the yard with the dogs. The dogs showed no sign of aggression to the chickens, so we never changed anything. Then, when winter arrived, Freya had killed one of the younger chickens. We had to change the setup of the yard so the chickens and dogs were separated. However, that did not stop the chickens from jumping the fence. Then, when one of the chickens jumped the fence one day, Freya was also in the dog yard with them, resulting in another chicken death. When Freya had done that second chicken death, I had learned a valuable thing about forgiveness. When someone only does something wrong once, it's easy to forgive them. But if someone does that wrong thing over and over again, it gets harder to forgive them each time they do it. I have also had chickens die from other things as well. For example, my chickens would go wandering into the forest and some didn't come back. This mostly happened while the chickens were free-ranged, where they had the whole open yard to themselves. This made them happier, but also made their lives more dangerous. Eventually, it got too dangerous for the chickens to free-range, and they were moved to their own little yard. The chickens were still happy, but not as happy as before. From all the deaths of my chickens, one stuck with me the most. We used to have a gray rooster named Mister. Mister was a bit of a jerk to the chickens, but was proven to be a good rooster because of how he died. One day, my mom woke up to hear the chickens panicking and went to check on them. When she got out there, Mister the rooster was being attacked by a black coyote. And the black coyote could not get into the coop because there was a fence and chicken wire to protect the chickens. His head was through the chicken wire, like Mister was trying to attack the coyote. My mom sent the dogs after the coyote and the chickens were safe. Sadly for Mister, however, his head was not on his body. Yeah. We threw his body into the woods to become one with nature once more, and we believe that Mister was simply trying his best to protect the chickens, even if he lost his life in the process. What a good rooster. All these deaths have taught me about how to deal with grief, whether it be a chicken or another pet. I have felt the pain of loss and learned how to process it. My third and final thing I would like to talk about is how I learned about befriending these feathery birds. When chickens are babies, they'll look up to anyone who is taking care of them. However, once they start getting older, they'll begin to trust you less, and this is when you need to show them that they can trust you. I had the same issue when the chickens got older. They would often stay away from us and not much to do with us. But if you keep spending time with them, giving them treats and sitting on the ground with them, they'll start to warm up to humans a lot more. For example, we have our original chickens, who are yellow in color, and were not super friendly when they were younger. But as I spent more time with them, the closer they got to humans. Nowadays, they'll come running to see me when I go out into the chicken yard, and if there are other people, we'll also go up to them as well. The same goes for the gray hens we got as well. They're not as friendly as the yellow chickens, but are still friendly enough to want to come near us, and sometimes let us pet them. Another situation about befriending chickens is the story of roosters. We've had a total of 4 roosters before. The first is Mister, who I told you about earlier. Then we have the 3 roosters we got from an unsexed batch of chickens, meaning they didn't sort the females from the males. We had 2 mini roosters and 1 interesting rooster that we first thought was a hen, but we actually don't know what their gender was. I'll talk about them first. Their name was Diamond, and at first they acted like a hen, and then one day they started to crow, so we did not know exactly if she was a hen or a rooster. I have decided to refer to them as a rooster. Diamond also reacted to their name being called. They seemed to attack me when they wished to have attention, because Diamond seemed to love attention. One day my mom found Diamond on his back, and when my mom called out to him, he was back on his feet. Apparently he jumped the fence and Kubo got to him. Luckily, Kubo didn't kill him. Unfortunately, his luck did run out one day when we were on a camping trip and Diamond jumped the fence when Freya was outside in the yard. All we found when we came home were feathers. The death of Diamond did sadden me, but we had 2 roosters left, one named Nugget and the other named Raven. Nugget and Raven were 2 little goobers, sneak attacking my mom when she wasn't looking. They also fought one another, puffing up their neck feathers to intimidate one another. I found it pretty funny when they puffed up their neck feathers to intimidate one another. Oh wait. Oh, I messed up. I found it pretty funny when they puffed up their feathers like that. It reminded me of a dinosaur. One day, my mom had enough and said that we should get rid of them. I did hesitate, but agreed, for no one could enjoy the chickens with the roosters around sneak attacking people. We eventually found someone who would take the roosters, and this person actually worked at the library, which I found out not too long ago. We actually got a report on how the mini roosters were doing. Sadly, as the person was getting the roosters adapted to their flock of hens, an animal took them and returned them to the natural cycle of life. There are birds that are not chickens that I'll like to talk about now, and that is the turkeys. My mom has always wanted turkeys, so when she saw that they were for sale at Tractor Supply, she got them immediately. They started out like all baby birds. We had to raise them and keep them safe from the dangers in life. Once they had gotten bigger, they joined the chickens in the chicken yard, and when I say they got big, they got big. They were twice the size of the chickens. The turkeys were still lower on the pecking order than the yellow chickens. The pecking order is how chickens determine who is in charge. When there are no roosters, chickens will take turns looking after one another, and all have their place in the flock. Anyway, back to the turkeys. There's a male turkey who is as smart as a rock, and a female who is actually pretty smart. The male, who was Pierre, would puff up his feathers at people, attempting to look more intimidating, but would never attack. The female is pretty friendly, mostly going up to people and curiously pecking anything shiny or any dangling fabric. They are quite annoying when it comes to bowls. The female, Francesca, will constantly dump the bowls by stepping on the sides of the bowl, spilling the contents. We have been talking about maybe getting rid of Pierre, but are unsure yet of what we are going to do about him. Owning these chickens has also taught me more empathy for all creatures. I remember talking with my mom about how she felt powerless to stop certain problems in the world. For example, the problem with the food industry abusing animals. Chickens have the worst treatment, being locked up in factories all crammed together in a tight space. My mom talked about not being able to stop it, but I mentioned how just by caring for and owning for our chickens. Oh, wait. But I mentioned how just by caring for and owning for our chickens, we are making a difference for them. This has helped me learn that when I feel overwhelmed and powerless about things in life, I can still make a difference by doing what I can with what I have. I have learned a lot about these chickens by befriending them throughout the 2 years I've had them. Today, I have shared with you about the responsibilities that come with chickens, the deaths that I've dealt with involving my chickens, and how I learned to befriend these feathery friends. I've learned how all things have a place in the ecosystem, about how forgiveness can be a hard thing at times, and how darn hard it is to take care of chickens and keep them from being eaten. However, through these 2 years I've had chickens, I can rightfully say that chickens can teach you a lot of things. It is truly amazing how such a small bird can have such a big impact on my life. And that is my story, everyone. Thank you for listening. I can now take a few questions from the congregation. Anyone have questions? That's a good question. So, oh, yeah. So, what was the question again? How do you know when the chicken is happy? So, it's kind of hard to figure out if a chicken is happy or not. Usually, they'll be probably more friendlier. They'll want to come up to you and lay eggs, yeah. They'll also lay eggs. Yes? How old do chickens grow up to? So, surprisingly, chickens can actually live for a very long time. I searched it up, and they can actually live to up to 14 years. So you can have them for a long time. How did I deal with the grief of chicken loss? So, whenever a chicken died, when they were younger, it was easier to deal with the grief, for I have not had them for as long. However, when they start to get older and you get to know them more and more, it's harder to deal with the grief. For example, with my dog Freya, it's incredibly hard to forgive her for the things she's done. She's killed multiple chickens, and she just doesn't stop. It's incredibly hard to forgive her, but I've been able to deal with the grief because of how multiple chickens have died, especially when the 3 chicks died in the beginning, and that really showed how much chickens were going to die. We also buried them and had a ceremony as well. What breed of chickens do we have? We have Walkingtons. Yeah.
It's a big word. Buff Orpingtons, and I think the gray ones might be Brahmas. Yeah. They're gray and fluffy.
They also have feather feet. They have feathers on their feet. It's pretty funny. We call them feather dusters.
How many eggs do they normally lay in a day?
How many eggs do they normally lay in a day? I'd say right now they lay about 1 a day, but I think when they get through, once it gets a little less hot, I think they'll start laying about 2 to 3 eggs a day. So, as a flock, yeah, as a flock. Each chicken individual, I'm kind of unsure. Do I eat chicken? I don't eat the chickens, but I do eat chicken. How do chickens communicate with each other? So, I think they'll communicate using, like, signals to each other with their heads, or I'm not exactly sure on how they communicate with one another. Maybe like that. I haven't really searched up how chickens communicate with one another, so they do make a lot of different noises. It's not just the balk. It's a lot. And pecking. They'll peck one another. I bet.
If you go out like in the morning, do you grab like an unfertilized egg and then make it into like an omelet or something?
Do I make an omelet in the morning using chicken eggs? Not really. I'm a bit too lazy to make an omelet. But still, that's a good idea. The only problem is that I think with the intense heat, it's sometimes making the eggs a bit rotten. Maybe. It is really hot outside. It's like 93 degrees, so. Oh. Which chicken was my favorite? That's pretty hard. We've had a lot of chickens. So, the yellow ones are probably, I like them a bit more than the gray ones. And there's a certain one named Potato. They're like big. They're bigger than, they're the biggest of all the chickens, but they're not bigger than the turkeys because the turkeys are huge. They're like this big. It's insane.
Do you feed them a vegetarian diet, or what exactly do you feed them?
What do I feed them? So we feed them. So Tractor Supply is where you can get animal goods and chickens if they have them in stock. There'll be like a little cage area. So we get them this chicken mix, I think, and we also combine it with the turkey mix because the turkeys need more protein than the chickens in order to grow correctly. So we get like a chicken mix bag.
Can you tell the difference between the chicken eggs that you have and the commercial eggs that you have?
Can I tell the difference between the chicken eggs and the store eggs? The taste? Oh. I'm not exactly sure if I can distinguish the taste because I don't think we've bought store eggs in a long while. But I bet there is a much better taste to them. Oh, the yolks are darker as well.
How do you define the gradation of the difference between chicken eggs and I assume you probably have turkey eggs?
Yeah.
How do they differ, or are they
So
similar, or?
how do I figure out which is a turkey egg and which is a chicken egg?
Well, yeah, then, but as you know, as the broken egg when you cook it, but how do they differ as egg products?
I'm not exactly sure how to. I think the turkey eggs might be bigger because they are bigger birds, but I don't know if they are laying eggs right now because they don't usually go in the coop to sit on the nests. Yeah, they're not laying eggs yet, but I bet there is a difference when they start laying eggs. They'll be like probably much bigger than the chicken eggs.
Are they as prevalent as chicken eggs or more rare?
I bet they're a bit more rare than chicken eggs, and I bet they taste different from chicken eggs. So,
Have you ever cracked open an egg and there was already like a baby chicken growing?
have I cracked open an egg and there was a baby chicken? I might have. Now I think about it, because there was one egg that had a very red yolk. It was super red. So I'm not exactly sure if I ever have. I haven't like actually cracked one open. There's like a full chicken there, but I might have cracked one open and it was like very slowly growing. So
I know the answer to this question, now I know if you will. How long does it take for a chicken egg to hatch?
how long does it take for a chicken egg to hatch? So we don't really raise the chickens because we don't have roosters to fertilize the eggs. But I'm guessing around,
Yeah, you know the answer.
what's the answer then?
21 days.
21 days. Huh. I was guessing 32. Have I ever had a chick hatch from one of the eggs? I do not think so because I've never seen a chick running around with the chickens. It would be cute though.
It'll take 21 days.
Yeah. We don't have any roosters to fertilize the eggs, so I think it's pretty impossible.
I would like a chili.
Do I want to raise a baby chick? So I don't think the chickens would really let me raise the baby chick. They would be pretty protective of that chick.
They would raise.
So the chickens would raise the chick, not me. But it would be cool to see a little chick running around with them.
Right, thank you, Julian, and thank you for all of the questions. All right, in closing, we're going to have a call and response. All of Nature is Sacred by Lorelei Greenwood Jones. The words will be on the screen. They're also found in your order of service. You can stand or sit as you're most comfortable. For the love of all began with the world. All of nature is sacred. Every creature is a thinking, feeling being. We are part of nature and every being on the planet. What we do to one affects the many. Each bird and insect, each fish and four-legged creature, all are our siblings. The love that we show each being radiates outward, a beam of kindness and caring that can be felt with the heart. We extinguish the chalice here that it might glow gently in our hearts. May it light your path as you leave this place. May it guide your way until we are together again. Normally, we stay seated for our postlude, but today we have a special postlude that may inspire some movement. Feel free to stand and participate if you would like.